Tourism in Egypt. Discover the most important tourist cities in Egypt 2023. Min mawqi'in jughrafiyin fi wasti al-halami wa manahu al-mutadilu wasawahiliya al-tawilati al-jamilati washawatiya al-maliyati bikunuzi al-shihabi al-marjaniyati al-nadirati. Tourism in Egypt depends on the many effects that resulted from the diversity of civilizations and their differences throughout the ages, including Pharaonic, Coptic, Roman and Islamic civilizations. Many natural ports, as well as many sports that attract sports tourists, such as diving, playing golf, and others. Tourism in Egypt is characterized by the abundance of tourist attractions of all kinds, the proliferation of mosques, temples, museums, monuments, historical and artistic buildings, and vast gardens on its land, and its possession of a strong infrastructure based on serving the tourism sector in Egypt, including hotel rooms, tourist resorts, and airline offices. Types of tourism in Egypt. God loved Egypt, with distinctive natural features that made it a destination for tourists throughout the ages. All countries of the world. Thus, it possessed all the elements that put it on the map of world tourism, and among the most important tourism disputes in Egypt. Leisure tourism, religious tourism, medical tourism, cultural tourism, safari tourism. The importance of the capital, Cairo, in terms of tourism. Cairo is one of the largest Egyptian cities and the Nile River passes through it. It is one of the longest rivers in the world and attracts many tourists to it, in addition to the presence of a number of aquatic organisms that provide tourist and recreational services through boating, ships, and fishing. The Nile River is also a crossing point for the other bank. Several annual festivals are held in Cairo, such as the Cairo Film Festival, the Drums Festival, the Jazz Music Festival, and others. Cairo is also characterized by the presence of the most important cultural centers. Cairo is famous for its ancient heritage and strategic location. It is also distinguished by the presence of historical monuments, and the tourist finds museums in it, such as the Egyptian Museum, which contains the largest archaeological collection of the antiquities of the pharaohs, the Coptic Museum, the Ceramics Museum, the Railway Museum, and the Agriculture Museum. As for Islamic antiquities, the tourist can find many of them, such as Amr ibn al-As Mosque. It is the first mosque built in Egypt and Africa, as it was built by Amr ibn al-As in the city of Fustat, al-Azhar al-Sharif, the Ibn Tulun Mosque, and the citadel of Salah al-Din al-Ayubi, which is considered one of the largest military castles built in the Middle Ages. Obtaining a tourist visa for Egypt. Obtaining a visa is the most important step in the beginning of planning a vacation in one of the tourist countries and enjoying its destinations, and in light of the technological boom that the world is witnessing, all procedures have become electronic, and they can be done without any routine procedures, and Egypt has begun planning to shift to the era of technological tourism to crowd out developed countries that allow for tourists. All services are at the click of a button, and it recently launched the electronic visa service for nearly 50 countries around the world. How to obtain an e-visa for Egypt? First, visit the website http://www.visa2egypt.gov.e.g. The site provides a brief overview of Egypt and its most important tourist attractions that have international fame. You can view them through the site provides its services through 8 different languages, the most important of which are Arabic, English, French, Italian, German and Spanish. It allows the visitor to enter Egypt and applicants obtain it after entering the required information and paying the fees. 5. The application for obtaining it is submitted before travel with a period of not less than 7 working days. 6. You can obtain it in 9 steps, starting by creating a special account and filling out the form. 7. The site allows paying fees using a Visa, MasterCard or debit card. 8. The tourist visa fee for entering Egypt once is $25. 9. While the multi-entry tourist visa costs $60. 10. The site allows citizens of 46 countries around the world to obtain an electronic visa. Egypt civilization. Egypt is famous for having one of the oldest civilizations on Earth, where humans began to migrate to the banks of the Nile and settle and began to cultivate the land and raise livestock about 10,000 years ago. Its people developed rapidly, and simple industries began in it, and its cohesive social fabric developed, and they formed peaceful neighboring emirates on the banks of the Nile that exchanged trade, a precedent in that for all countries in the world. Antiquities of Egypt. Egypt is famous for its many antiquities, where a third of the world's antiquities are located, such as the pyramids of Giza and the Sphinx, the Karnak Temple, Deir el-Bahari, the Valley of the Kings and its other ancient antiquities, such as those in the city of Memphis, Thebes, and Karnak, and parts of these antiquities are displayed in major museums around the world. A special science has been found to study the antiquities of Egypt called Egyptology, as well as there are Roman, Greek, Coptic and Islamic antiquities in their various eras. Egyptian cuisine. Egyptian cuisine is distinguished by its simplicity and diversity, although it relies heavily on grains and vegetables, and bread is the master of food in the Egyptian kitchen, which is called living in the Egyptian dialect as a synonym for the term life, and it is made in 36 different shapes, the most famous of which are al-shamsi, al-batal and al-baladi. The two dishes of fava beans and falafel are also the most famous Egyptian breakfast dishes, which are made in many shapes, types and different ways, and from Egypt they spread to the rest of the world, especially the countries of the Middle East. The most famous Egyptian food. There are also meals related to occasions and holidays, such as tortillas, fesik, Eid cakes, biscuits, amali, rice pudding, ashura, pudding, kishk, kunafa, and katayef, in addition to traditional sweets such as basbousa, basama, harissa, and mashab. Kosheri, moussaka, stuffed, malakia, fatah, lentil soup, kawari, sayadiya, and perennial rice tagine are also main dishes. Tea, cane juice, and licorice are also among the most popular drinks in the country. The best tourism cities in Egypt. Tourism in Cairo. Tourism in Sharm el-Sheikh. Tourism in Alexandria. Tourism in Hurghada. Tourism in Marsa Matruh. Tourism in Marsa Alam. Tourism in Luxor. Tourism in Ain Sukna. Tourism in Taba.